Hey everyone, good afternoon. All right, hold on, out of the light. So my name's Rory Raphael. I've actually relocated to London from Melbourne 2 days ago. So still working on the jet lag. Also, I have a dog and a cat which are still on the way, so still working on the full relocation. But I'm really glad it kind of turned out that I can join today. So I work at Envato. I'm the paid growth director there. It's hard to pronounce, and not many know the brand Envato, so I'll share with you a bit what we do. So Envato is, we have a few products that serve freelancers as well as small, medium businesses. We're used by around 80% of Fortune 500 companies. And we have kind of several brands under Envato. So we have a subscription model. Freelancers and businesses can download creative assets from video templates to website templates. Many of the websites you'll visit purchase their website template on Envato. We have a freelancer service, we have a tutorial blog, and we have marketplaces that serve around 2 million customers per year, sold 40 million 40 million items to date. Including photos and audio and video and website templates. So a lot of digital assets. We advertise on pretty much every country we can, over 190 countries, aside from a few countries that we legally can't sell in. And today I chose to chat with you about video. And actually, maybe I'll put a timer on so I know I'm not babbling too much. And I'll keep focused. So why did I choose to chat with you about video? A few high-level notes. Around 80% or 78% of people watch online video every week. 55% view online videos every day, according to HubSpot. By 2020, online videos will make up more than 80% of consumer internet traffic. And YouTube is the second most trafficked site after Google, according to Alexa. Looking at our specific industry, right? So we sell website templates, for example. If you're familiar with that industry, most sites are built using WordPress. On YouTube alone, there's over 20 million views of WordPress-related videos per month. There's 54 million subscribers to graphic designer channels worldwide. And on our industry alone, we see on YouTube a growth of 103% year over year on video views. So video views on YouTube are skyrocketing, which makes it very worth the time and effort. On the other hand, when we're looking at spend on paid acquisition, paid search obviously high intent and a very call it advanced industry, has been here for a long time, right? So the spend is closing on 100 billion per year, 92 billion on 2017. Online video, on the other hand, growing faster, but still much smaller compared to search, which with around 23 billion spend on 2017. And so what I want to share with you is a bit of details of what we're doing on Envato and why we're super excited about paid video especially. Now the challenge is I'm going to go a bit granular and share with you some details, and the challenge there is that you might get really bored because the details are not relevant to you at all. Hopefully though, for some of you they'll be very relevant, and for the others it will be inspiring as to what you can do in your business, because I did want to be practical and keep this on a level that you can actually use. So the reason I want to speak about video and why video is relevant now, 3 main reasons, the way we see them. One is the scale. As I mentioned before, video is growing very rapidly, and it's already very big. So it's growing and it's huge. There's been a huge improvement in targeting methods, and there's been a huge improvement on measurement. And most importantly is the 4th point, right? Video is still untapped. Everyone is on search. Search is getting more and more expensive. Facebook, to those that are on Facebook, and I'm guessing most of you are advertising on Facebook, is getting more and more expensive. Big brands coming in, spending a lot of money, pushing up the prices even for those who measure accurately what they're doing on Facebook, causing Facebook to be very challenging to advertise on. Video, on the other hand, is not yet there. Even looking at some of the top blogs, right? Search engine land, focusing on search, still 5,000 posts that mention Facebook, only 3,000 that mention YouTube, for example. On marketing land, there's not even a headline for video, right? There's social, obviously search, and video is kind of a side note that you have articles on. And so video is very much kind of stuck in the branding phase. Many companies I speak to are kind of using video as an extension, as an add-on, as a nice to have, but not as a proper acquisition channel. And that's why we think the opportunity is now, and there's a lot of really, a huge potential to do with video. And therefore, the title, kind of rounding back to the title, which is video is the new search, and it's really a must-have acquisition channel, or at least an acquisition channel you want to test on whichever field you're working on. So I'll be focusing mostly on YouTube. We're doing video on other sources as well, but YouTube is huge and very kind of easier to start with. So I'll share a bit of what we're doing on YouTube and a bit of specifics of what worked for us with video. And I'll split that into 3 main pillars. One is creatives, how we tailored creatives for YouTube, what worked for us. The second is targeting, reaching a relevant audience. And the third is measurement. And so creatives, how do you get creatives to work for you on YouTube? I think one important thing to know is that creatives don't have to be very expensive. We've created ads from hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars, and it reaches tens of thousands of dollars. But when you want to test video, there's a lot of sources, and they were spoken about in this conference as well, of how to create video that isn't that expensive. So a few things to keep in mind when you are working on video. One is to think short, think about 5 and 30-second ads. You want to get your message out real quick, and don't run more than 60 seconds is what we learned worked for us.
Going to design a project that needs rework. Envato is Untitled.
So that's 5 seconds of one of our ads, right? So try to pull users in like a weird cat, something weird going on, and still we mentioned our brand, and so users are going to see a lot of those first 5 seconds, and that's why it's important to kind of try and grab attention. Product placement, putting your logo and showing your product, again, focusing on direct response, getting users to actually come to your website and make a purchase. You want to show them the website. That works really well, so it's familiar to them. This is how our subscription model looks. You can choose photos, you can choose stock video, and this is how our ad looks. So the ad is running through the product. You can see the logo, you can see a call to action, and you actually see the product, so when users arrive to our site, it's very familiar. It's kind of a seamless experience. Voiceover is super important, where you run through and kind of bring the message through with a clear voiceover, and testing various voiceovers as well. And ending with a CTA, call to action, tell the users what you want them to do. In our case, download now. We give them a few seconds at the end of the video that they can click and download. And another important thing, one before last, is keeping it simple, sticking to one message. One of the challenges for us, we have a lot of products. When you want to sell something, obviously it's your product, you're really proud of it. There's a lot of things it can do, but on YouTube, you're catching people that didn't come there to see your ad, so you want to stick to one simple message. For us, it's unlimited downloads of creative assets, and that's what we repeat in most of our ads of, for example, Envato Elements, which is a subscription model. And A/B testing, right, which is clear, very easy to A/B test videos, same as ads, same as search ads, and that's something that's obviously a main focus. I'll show you 2 of our ads. This is one of our first ads that we created, very low budget, kind of just to feel out things, to see how it works. And again, incorporating the main points that we mentioned before.
Complete your project faster with Envato Elements. With our growing library of creative assets, search and combine multiple items to create a unique product without the need to start from scratch. Start with the base. Choose one of our ready-to-use templates or use your own design. Then customize by adding unique fonts, graphics, and styles to make it truly different. And your unique creation doesn't have to be expensive. With your subscription, you have unlimited access to the entire Envato Elements library, with easy licensing that's good for you and your clients. Download and experiment without the worry of any additional cost. And with an ever-growing library, Envato Elements solves the challenges you have today and tomorrow.
So we kind of went really, really basic. We took the things we know that worked from kind of past experience, we incorporated them there, and you can see it's not a video that will cost too much to produce and very easy to test. After this one worked pretty well, we wanted to create something that looks a bit more fine, and so we looked at where the video drop-offs are, we looked at YouTube analytics, you can see where you're kind of losing users. We looked at the view rates, and we wanted to test something that is incorporating a lot of things that will make it look a bit finer. And so we created another version. This is the second and final version that I'll show you, just so kind of to see a few iterations that were made to that original video.
Got a design project that needs reworking? Envato Elements has got you covered. Unlimited downloads from the best design resources. We're talking hundreds of thousands of creative assets direct to your desk. Choose the bits you need for your project. From templates to photos, fonts, mock-ups, graphics and more. And download. Editing items with your own creative step. Or use them as they are. Bring any creative project to life quickly with the best designed web and stock assets, just like the ones in this video. Get unlimited design resources. Head to Envato Elements today.
So we played with the 5 seconds. We wanted users not to drop off as much as we saw in the previous video. We added a few elements in the middle to try and kind of increase the interest again to prevent drop off, and we wanted to make it look a bit finer, and so that was kind of another iteration. So those are a few points that kind of cost us a lot of money to learn with creative-wise, and have been very effective for us since we learned them. The second pillar I want to share a few details on is targeting. So there's a lot to target on YouTube, and Google constantly adds more targeting, and obviously we'll speak to our account managers, and every new targeting they'll be like, yeah, this is an amazing targeting, you have to test this. This is now working incredible for everyone, and then we test it and it doesn't work well for us, which isn't surprising as they want to push new targetings. So there's a lot of things you can test. I want to share the ones that worked best for us and that I think are really good to start off with. So one very cool feature that YouTube enables is search query audience. Search query audience means that users that are searching on Google, so for example, users searching wedding invitation templates on Google, will then be targeted on YouTube for a few hours after their search. So super expensive on Google search, but if they don't make their purchase immediately, you catch them afterwards on YouTube with your video. So you can take your keywords from paid search, you know what converts on paid search, put them into YouTube, and follow those users on YouTube. So very effective, and you can use your learnings from other paid channels, which is also great. So that targeting worked really well for us. Another one, which is a great starting point on paid video, is placements. Again, bless you. With the wedding invitation example, searching wedding invitation templates on YouTube will give you all these results of wedding invitations, and then you can target specifically the video URL. In order to do that in scale, there's a lot of tools. So you can upload, for example, import IO. You can upload a bunch of keywords from your search campaigns, and it will give you 50 results per keyword from YouTube. And so you'll get thousands of placements on YouTube. You upload them to your YouTube campaign, and you have an amazing, huge campaign targeting placements. And placements work really, really well and are way, way underused by advertisers, at least from the advertisers I speak to. Because this is amazing. Users looking for wedding invitation templates on YouTube, obviously, are your target if you want to sell wedding invitation templates, and people look for, potential customers look for very specific things on YouTube. Topics is an obvious one, works well to an extent. Some topics work really well on YouTube, others are way off. You can usually see how they work because you see what videos you appear on, and sometimes it just goes all over the place, but definitely one you want to test. And remarketing, which is another really good one. We remarket across our products. We remarket to users that visited our products and didn't purchase. Remarketing usually is a good one to test as it's a very targeted audience. So that was a real quick view of a few of the targetings that work well. And again, we tested all of them, and every time there's a new one we test, we always make sure to test them, but those really worked well. Especially in the beginning where you're kind of more clueless on YouTube, using your Google search data is always helpful. And so finally, measurement. Measurement is a real interesting one because measurement is where a lot of advertisers fall. When you advertise on YouTube, many of the users will come through, not clicking through your campaign, but view through and coming after they viewed your ad. And the challenge is how you measure that accurately and measure that with all the rest of your channels. And so what we noticed, here you're seeing an example of two countries that behave pretty similarly. So country 1 in yellow, and we'll call it country 2 in black. And these are daily sales. And so we activated our campaign, and we activated pretty aggressively so we can see a response. And you can see that jump when we started the campaign. You really saw a very, very clear jump in sales. The problem is that those sales didn't come from YouTube, right? They came from organic, and they came from Facebook, and they came from all sorts of places. So it was very clear that YouTube caused the increase. And so the issue was, how do we now attribute these sales correctly so we can actually optimize our campaigns and push YouTube and scale it? And what we found out is that when we break it down, we saw that around 25% of the users coming in from YouTube, that jump we saw before, 25% came from YouTube, and then 75% came from other sources. So search for Envato elements on Google or came from any other paid channel, which is a pretty big portion. So if you're not taking that into account, you have a problem. You'll think YouTube isn't working. On the other hand, if you're just looking through AdWords and looking at assisted conversions or all sorts of metrics, that's also problematic because it doesn't look at the rest of your channels. So you're kind of stuck. This is, by the way, the time it took users to reach our site, right? So around 30% of the users came within 7 hours, and then the rest came in the next 3 days. So what we did is we used DoubleClick, which is Google's product that can do a lot of things. One of the things it can do is help track users that view an ad. And then basically you can use your internal attribution or various attributions that you want to use, be it Google Analytics or any data warehouse solution, and implement that attribution on users that viewed the ad. So basically it kind of colors those users, and then you can use that data internally, which means that you can attribute or follow through on a view same as you would on a click, which then makes it super helpful. And what we discovered after we did that is that the things we saw in AdWords are very different from what we saw when we implemented that tracking, to an extent where we had campaigns that we thought aren't working well, worked actually the best, like our placement campaigns, which suddenly we saw bringing a ton of users that are viewing through, right? Like 5x users, even more than the percentage we saw overall, are viewing that relevant ad and then arriving to our site 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour later. So that was a really, really big move for us, an enabler to scale YouTube. That said, even without these types of solutions, I think what is important to keep in mind is that this exists. Account managers from Google and from Facebook, by the way, will always come and say, you know, there's a lot of impact of view-through conversions, but there's so much you can believe based on your account manager's word. But we actually saw this and measured it, and so I can kind of reinforce the fact that it's really interesting to see the view-through behavior on YouTube, and something you need to take into account. And a final point here is, as mentioned before, YouTube analytics. YouTube has a really nice set of analytic tools which is worth checking out. It shows you where users drop off, and it also shows you what the expected drop-off rate is compared to other videos. So you kind of have a nice estimation, and you can see if users are dropping off on a specific point, and this can help you create new ads, and then you kind of know what you want to A/B test next. And they have a lot of nice tools they gradually add to the YouTube Analytics suite, so it's very much worth checking out. And so those are the three pillars. And I'd say what I would really like you to take with you from this is that YouTube really works, and that video really, really works well, and works for user acquisition, as in direct user acquisition rather than branding or raising awareness. And there is this core that you want to stick to with basics of how creatives work and the main targetings that would work best for you, to test out and to scale from there. And creating those videos don't have to be that expensive either. So the opportunity is here now. Thank you.